Hello everyone, welcome back to another AFK journey video. In today's video, I wanted to take a look at the top 10 arena defenses, see their formation, which heroes they're running, what ascension level they're at, which can give you guys an idea of what plan to work towards to hold a high rank in the arena. Now keep in mind that it will take time for you to get ascension on your heroes, but if you choose your wish list properly and you play regularly, you are going to eventually get your chosen heroes to Mythic Plus, even Supreme Plus, and if you use your Temporal Essence as well, you can also get them quite level up in their exclusive equipment. But it will take time, so that is the thing. You just have to be patient with it and you can do well. So Splash is using the event face, which looks really funny, and honestly, he is, look, if you look at the leaderboard, he has 2,300 points. No one can beat him. No one on the server can beat him. He has such a strong defense. We'll take a look at that, but it is just like Paragon 3 or Paragon 2 plus units, so that is one reason, but let's take a look. Okay, so we're only going to be looking at the top 10. I think this is a really interesting type of video because this was something I wanted to know. What sort of arena defense, which hero should I be putting on my wish list in order to get the highest ranks of arena? So let's take a look at Ofter first, and we're going to also at the end of the video like summarize it and see which are the key heroes a lot of people are using. Okay, so all of his heroes are Supreme Plus, as you can see here. He has Iron, Haywin, and interestingly, he doesn't have a dedicated damage dealer. This seems more like a stall version with Scarlita as the only damage source, who it just needs to survive for long enough so Scarlita comes down and just kills everyone. And this is a very viable strategy. A lot of people run similar comps with Thorin. Haywin is the best healer for this option. If you watch my previous video, we went into the description of Haywin's skills, but she has a huge damage reduction on your entire team whenever she casts her ultimate. Interestingly, he's also went for the Enlightening spell on the Haywin so that Haywin cannot be crowd controlled, which means that Haywin is going to get off her ultimate as quickly as possible to then keep your team alive, which is a really interesting strategy. Already Damien can't be crowd controlled, and Scarlita jumps up into the air, so his team is very protected against crowd control comps, which a lot of people use on offense, so it's a very interesting strategy. Then on top of that, he has Iron at plus 10 exclusive equipment, which is the key one you want. If you are choosing specific heroes for plus 10 exclusive equipment, Iron is the #1 pick, because then his immobilization at the start of the fight is going to be a 6-second long immobilization instead of 3 seconds, which is a huge upgrade. And also his stats are very useful. He's a key hero to be in the front line, tanking and dealing damage. And then Scarlita is also at plus 10 exclusive equipment, which is a big power upgrade for her as well. We can take a look at her skills a bit later on, or maybe we can even click on Scarlita's skills over here. So at exclusive skill level 3, Scarlita's skill will knock the non-boss enemies with HP lower than a certain percentage of her attack and HP ratio below 20% out of the battlefield. The enemy sent out of combat this way cannot return and is considered defeated. So it's so funny when you see Scarlita using her skills and enemies are just flying off the board, and that is what happens with her exclusive skill level 3. Level 2 is when she begins dealing true damage, so even at plus 5 exclusive equipment, she's pretty strong. Now the problem is if you don't have a highly ascended Scarlita, and you don't have her at Mythic Plus, I don't think you should be running her on your defense, because in this team, the way you're killing is with Scarlita, and if Scarlita is not at Mythic Plus, she doesn't have a true damage, she doesn't have the knockoff effect from the board, so it is not a good option. But you can run a same defense instead of Scarlita with like Arden in the back as a damage source, or even Carolina. Both are good options, but again, this is a defense which needs Mythic Plus on all heroes. All the heroes on the board here, and even like we mentioned, Arden, Carolina, they pop off at Mythic Plus. Before that, they're not going to be very strong. So that pretty much covers it with this sort of Scarlita, Thorin, Stroll defense. And if you want to run that defense with Scarlita, Scarlita will need to be Mythic Plus. And because you're probably going to be targeting Rainier before that, it will be difficult for you to come up with that. So let's take a look at the rank 9 defense. So rank 9 defense is almost the same thing. Well, they're just 2 replacements here. Carolina and Arden instead of Scarlita and Haywin. The interesting thing though is I've even seen teams with Haywin and just one damage deal like we were mentioning, rather swapped out for the Scarlita, and that can be a very effective team as well. So as you can see so far, both formations have had the same arena defense, and they've positioned the heroes in a way that, well, here the Arden is actually susceptible to being swapped by Rainier. I'm going to show that, I'm going to demonstrate that over here. If we put Rainier over here and swap in the Arden, that is going to be a big weakness of his defense. So when you're positioning it, oh, but he can't be swapped because he has a lightning spell. Okay, smart. So I didn't pay attention to the lightning spell. Yeah, so his defense covers Rainier swap. No one is susceptible to being Rainier swapped because lightning spell will prevent crowd control and will prevent the Rainier swap. So very strong defense. It is a standard Iron nuke team, and he's holding rank 9 with this. And if you look at the team, he doesn't even have Supreme Plus on Iron, but I'm assuming, and not even on Carolina, but I'm assuming both are, yeah, both are Supreme, and even at Mythic Plus they would work. He has quite high exclusive equipment upgrades. Arden, Iron, and Carolina are all plus 10. On my other account that I played, I was even holding in the top 10 sometimes of Arena, using only Iron as a plus 10 exclusive equipment. Everyone else was plus 5. But in order of priority, I think Iron number 1, then Arden number 2, Carolina number 3 for plus 10. Everyone should be taken to plus 5. It is your arena team, so they should all be given the title essences to get to plus 5, but for plus 10 that is a priority. And then once they're all at plus 10, then you take Damien to plus 10. You don't need Thorin at plus 10. Maybe even Damien doesn't need it. Maybe even plus 8 for Damien and Thorin would be fine. So yeah, he has a protection. He has a protection from Arden from all crowd control, which is very strong because when Arden casts his ultimate after Mythic Plus, his ultimate will cause all enemies hit with the ultimate to be applied with entangling roots, which is great crowd control. So yeah, as you can tell here, very strong Iron nuke team. Let's go back over and let's refresh the list and hopefully find some different people. Okay, Jedion is rank 4 and he is running, okay, the exact same team as the first team we saw. It has a Supreme plus Scarlita plus 10 exclusive equipment, plus 10 exclusive equipment of the Iron. And he has the Haywin for more sustain. So a lot of people are running this Haywin team instead of, and it's a pure stall type team with Scarlita to finish people off. The advantage of this team is even if you can't kill the enemy might not be able to kill you because you have so much, basically stalling in your team, all the healing. You have Damien, who is very difficult to kill permanently because he keeps respawning, and Thorin has multiple lives. Now again, he has a lightning spell to protect the Haywin, which is smart because now Haywin cannot be swapped to our side by Rainier. Nothing on his team can be swapped on our side other than Thorin, and no one wants to swap Thorin into the middle of your team with Rainier. So as you can see, every single defense we've seen so far has been positioned in a way to counter Rainier, and a lot of people use this specific arena map for that because these slots that I'm clicking on the map where Damien, Scarlita, Iron, and these two over here, these are not targetable because there's no symmetric tile. This one in the back is targetable, but if you have a lightning spell on that hero, then they're protected against that. So again, very interesting. Let's take a look at Dream's defense. He's a lower spender player who also does very well. So his defense is totally different from everything else. So you wouldn't have seen something like this. And he has a Supreme plus 10 exclusive equipment Reese, which is kind of just insane. But he's shown me video replays of this, and at the end Reese survives and just still kills everything in a lot of cases. So what can we say about this defense? Like, if Rainier swaps Reese into your team, you would think that would be bad for him, right? And that is what is capable. Like if you just have this positioning over here, he would swap Reese into the middle of your team. But Reese has a lot of like protection. He has Soul Pact effect from Thorin. And Reese in general at high ascension is pretty tanky. He doesn't die that easily. But that being said, I still think that you could nuke him down if you had an OD in the back, or even this crowd control team that you have here. Apart from that, he has like the type of Graveborn stall idea with the Igor at Supreme Plus, Thorin. People run like a full Graveborn almost team with Thorin, Igor, and maybe Haywin as well as a healer. So not full Graveborn, but that can be really stally. It's very difficult for the opponent to kill you. He has a lightning spell on his OD, so OD cannot be swapped by Rainier. He's protected, and OD is protected from all crowd control, which is good. And so Rainier is a good, I think his Rainier, is it Mythic Plus? Yeah, it is Mythic Plus now, but for a long time it wasn't, and he was still running it on defense. So Rainier can be a good option on defense if you have heroes which the opponent doesn't really want to be swapped into their side. Like Thorin, your opponent doesn't want your Thorin in the middle of your team. And Reese, I guess, maybe opponents don't want Reese in the middle of their team, because if Reese casts his ultimate when he's in the middle of your team, is bound to hit everyone, because his ultimate is like a random, he circles around himself in a cone and he deals damage. So yeah, I guess this is working out pretty well. And again, this is coming down to which heroes do you have the most ascended. He doesn't have that many options, right? So because he has a highly ascended Thorin, of course Thorin is a great arena defense hero, and he has Reese. So Reese is doing pretty well for him, even better than like a Shakir type comp. Like in this comp, I definitely think a Reese or some other damage threat is much more scary than having a Shakir here. Because for me, I opted for Shakir in the wish list, and I summoned him, and he's kind of decent for Dream Realm, but honestly, he's not that. He is replaceable, and for Arena, he is not too great. Like it's much more threatening to have a damage source than to have a Shakira on your team, in my opinion. But in Supreme Arena, he does pretty well for me. Okay, let's refresh and find some other people. Okay, so we have Vanny here, rank 6. And okay, so his team is interesting. It's a full Wilder team. And again, he has Arden protected from Rainier swap. The only ones we can swap are Iron or Granny, so that is key. If you're going to be positioning your defense, position around Rainier. And for a long time, I was not doing that. So that's something that is important, and you're going to hopefully learn from this video. But Granny and Iron, if they're swapped in your team, that's good for him, but it's bad for us. And again here, he has kind of a lowly ascended team, just Mythic Plus or Supreme on Granny and Damien, but he's holding rank 6, and he's always usually in the top 10 with his team, and Brian as well. Some people underestimate Brian, they think he's not that good, but I guess because he invested in him and he had a high ascension on him, he does pretty well. The issue with this team, of course, it is weak to crowd control. Like if we get Brian into the middle of the, because if a hero is positioned over here, they're weak to crowd control because they can be swept into the middle of the team over here, and then you just start attacking them or focusing them. But that being said, this is still a good team. It is an all-Wilder team, which is an option. Like, if you don't have maybe Thorin, Carolina that ascended, you can go for this all-Wilder version of a team. And it is strong. And this is also good because Granny can be purchased from the arena shop, so you can get her ascended. And you can even throw a Haywin in here. Like, you could even try a full Stroll type defense with Haywin as well, rather than Brian maybe. But then you have less damage, and maybe then opponents with like an Odie would just be able to work you down over time. But I mean, Arden still does output decent damage and crowd control. It might still be able to win even with a Haywin and without a Brian as another damage dealer. So interesting team. Let's take a look at some more that we have. Valerie is rank 10. We haven't taken a look at this defense yet. Again, protected against Rainier, and this is the standard Iron Nuke team. We've seen it before, and everyone is at Supreme Plus apart from Carolina, plus an exclusive equipment of Iron and Carolina. And Arden as well, which is the priority. Like, first you go for Iron, then Arden, then Carolina, and then you can go +8 on Damien and Thorin for the stats if you want, or even eventually +10. But it isn't as important. The positioning is pretty good. I mean, the only one that can be swapped is Iron, which you don't want to swap into your team anyway. He has a confining spell, and as you can see, most people have been running Enlightening spell, protecting their backline carry, and a lot of people do that. But confining spell is the next best spell to be using if you feel like you're protected in the back. The major issue I see with his team is that he is weak to crowd control. So if we go for an Iron crowd control team of our own, then his Arden is going to be immobilized, Carolina is going to be immobilized, and that weakens his team down quite a bit. And on offense, you can just run Enlightening spell of your own to counter Confining spell. And that's why Confining spell is not the best option, I feel like, for defense. Enlightening spell on a key carry is usually the best, because it will protect you against opponent confining spells as well as crowd control. So you get like a 2-for-1. Okay, can we find any more defensive? We want to find Splash's defense because that is like the top one. So we have these. I think these are the last two other than Splash, who's rank 1. So we're going to have to try and find him. Okay, so here again we have a Scarlita team. Everyone is Supreme Plus. He has... So interestingly, again he's running the Confining spell. So it's a bit weak to... in like you running your crowd control onto them, because his Arden will get crowd controlled, and his only major damage source is the Arden. So, and you can also Rainier swap the Arden, which is another issue with this team. But maybe because of the Scarlita and the really tanky team, even if you Rainier swap the Arden, kill the Arden, you might still lose in the end. Like Scarlita can come back down and finish off your entire team. So even if you go for like Rainier swap plus OD, might not be enough. But I do think that there are definitely upgrades that he could be making here, because, you know, even if I were to attack this team, I would probably Rainier swap the Iron into their team and get rid of Damien and go for something like this. And because then Carolina is going to start attacking the Arden and killing the Arden really fast. And on this layout, we also have protection from the Confining spell within Lightning spell on Carolina. The only other hero which would be confined is Rainier, which we don't really care about. And then we still have our... And we could even go for something like this. We could even put Thorin in the front, because Carolina is not really at much risk of getting damaged here, so that Iron is more protected jumping into their team. It still could have winning potential, but Iron can get that Arden, which is not great. And then it has, but on top of that, has a lot of tankiness. Like Granny, Rowan comp, so Granny, Rowan plus Haywin, if you have all three of them, they have such stalling capability with their healing. And with a Scarlita as well, it's like almost the standard Scarlita stall team. And it's very difficult to break through. And even if you use OD and OD manages to break through, Scarlita is going to be coming down and Scarlita might just kill your OD. So that is the basically worry with this team. But I think that defense is a little bit weak to Rainier swap. And a lot of people at the lower ranks, when they don't have like this Carolina or a high, really upgraded Iron team, then people use OD plus Rainier swap teams a lot. And if you're weak to that, that's a problem. Okay, so Farcalis has a very, very interesting team. He's actually like, okay, I don't care about you Rainier swapping me. I'm going to swap my Vala right into your face. And he has a lot of threats. Like he has triple threat. He has Sylvina, Vala, and Odie, which is an interesting idea. I've never seen something like this, where you just want to throw as much damage into the opponent as possible. But that being said, it is still weak to crowd control, because the only protection from crowd control is the OD. And it's pretty squishy. So even if you ran like a tanky sort of team with Scarlita, it would be easy for you to clear here. But people don't have Scarlita. So I think overall, there's another idea for a team comp you can try and run, which is multiple damage threats, so that the opponent can't just focus on one thing. And even if he swapped the Vala into our face, it is protected by Soul Pact. Vala already is pretty tanky, and once she can change her forms and jump away from the middle of the battle, and Sylvina is already jumping in your face too. So that is the thing. But I guess the thing is, you could do something like this, where you position the Iron to tank the Vala mark, and Damien to take the Sylvina hit, because it doesn't count. Then that first strike basically has no effect. And then you also have Damien to swap with the Vala, to have Vala coming right into your face, and Carolina can nuke it down and pretty quickly. So you could try something like this to try and counter it. But yeah, I mean, it is a decent option, and people will have usually a highly ascended Sylvina. You can easily get it to +5 exclusive equipment. You will have a Rainier that you're working on. OD, everyone will have highly ascended, and Thorin should be always on your wish list. So hopefully you have him at Mythic Plus, and you can try to run a team like this. Vala doesn't have to be the final option. Honestly, even putting in another hero here, like maybe Iron for crowd control, utility type hero, or even a healer, it might be a decent option for something that you can run on your defense. Okay, but with all that being said, let's take a look at if we can find Splash, and if we can't, we're just gonna reset. our challenges and try to find him. Okay, we got a lot of ranking points. We beat... Okay, this is way too lucky. This should not have happened, but I guess what I was trying to do is I was trying to counter, so we get a sneak peek of Splash's arena offense, so you're going to know what his defense is going to be as well. But what I did was to try and counter diagonal, is I've changed my arena formation so that everyone puts diagonal in the back. So I'm like, okay, my Thorn is coming to you. This is also, I feel like, a good arena formation because the Thorn and Carolina cannot be swapped by Rainier. There's no symmetrical tile. Damien cannot be swapped because he's Damien. And Thorn is running right in your face. So he's going to get a powerful effect off when he casts his ultimate. But this is the first time I think Splash has ever lost to anyone. On defense or offense or anything. So yeah, I wanted to counter diagonal teams, not Splashes, but other people run diagonal as well. So that's why I feel like this is a pretty good arena formation to counter that. But let's just take a look and if we can find Splash's defense. His so he has all of the Celestial Hypogeans, 999k. He has all of them at Supreme Plus and high exclusive equipment. He doesn't have them all on his defense, but if you saw on the offense, he was running Freyasto, Burial, we'll take a look at it again, Diagonal, and Scarlita. So all Celestial Hypogeans. Not Rainier, no, because he runs Thorin as well. So if we're taking a look at his defense, wait a second. Doesn't Lightning Spell apply on Diagonal in this positioning? Because I would think it would apply on Scarlita, which then would get no use of it because she goes up in the air. Or maybe it does apply on Diagonal. Hopefully it applies on Diagonal because that is the way you want to have a Diagonal defense. You want him to definitely be protected by Thorin. That is important. And you need to have him within Lightning Spell so he cannot be crowd controlled or swapped or anything like that. And then you just have enough time. You need to buy time for Diagonal to get his ultimate. And this whole team comp centers around buying time because Scarlita is going to buff up the Thorin and basically protect the Thorin, and Damien is going to heal and provide haste for Diagonal to get his ultimate faster. Iron is going to crowd control your team to buy more time for Diagonal, so very strong defense, of course. And Diagonal is a very strong hero to be used in Supreme Arena defenses as well. A lot of people use it, and on offense, he is probably more of an offense type hero, but even on defense, he is very strong. Okay, so let's take a look at the offense that he was running, and somehow how it managed to win, which is crazy. So he was running Freyasto plus 20 exclusive equipment, Damien plus 15 exclusive, or these are Paragon 2, and then Burial as well. Yeah, I think because his Celestial Hypogeans are not too highly ascended, and I think he's experimenting with his different heroes. Here he has no Thorin protection for the Diagonal, so, and my Thorin goes right in his face, so if Thorin can kill the Diagonal, then we're just going to be able to win here. The other thing is that why Enlightening Spell is so strong is Enlightening Spell is going to counter Damien. Because what Damien does with his chariot is he sends that harp, or whatever it is, toy airplane, towards the back line. And that is going to stun the back line and deal a lot of damage. And it's a 7-second stun. If you have Enlightening Spell on your defense or your offense, you're protected against that stun. So that is a reason why that stun is strong. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully it was helpful and gave you a cool look into some of the top arena defenses. I know in the end it is about ascensions. It is about getting like Supreme Plus heroes, high exclusive equipment, mainly the Iron teams. You saw a lot of them. But it just really goes to show you that Iron is one of the top arena defense heroes. And Thorin, of course. Thorin and Iron were on almost every single defense. Damien as well was on a lot of them. So Damien, Thorin, Iron are some of the top ones, and Arden is a really good option as well, if you don't have anything better than that. And Carolina, of course, if she's highly ascended. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you have any other cool ideas for videos in the comment section, and we can try to do those in the future. But we can probably do this with Supreme Arena as well when it comes out. And it just gives you something to work towards. You can give you some formations you can try on your own account. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. That is going to be it for this one. And until the next video, everyone, peace out for now.